What do you think this is going to be?
I don't know. Make an awesome drag strip.
50-cent concession stands,
Yeah.
popcorn, hot dogs.
Yeah, or it's big enough you could even do like a small circle track racetrack, kind of like Salt Lake had with Rocky Mountain Raceways before they closed down.
Huh.
It's cool to have something like that here in town, especially so close to the house and stuff.
Have you seen those box cart races?
Oh, yeah, like the sprint cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those fools are crazy.
Or just keep it, if it's cheaper, keep it dirt. Demolition Derby right here. I've always wanted to drive in a Demolition Derby. I think it'd be fun. But I like the racetrack idea more.
A bunch of spikes on your car. Tires have huge horns.
It'd be fun to have like a circle track right here.
Flames come out of the top. Spray painted black. Not painted. Spray painted.
Spray paint. Yeah, body and paint is not my specialty. I've tried.
What's your specialty?
I can do everything else with the car. I just can't do body and paint very well. I tried painting my front bumper of my first Escort GT, the black one I had that we talked about last video, and it was back in high school, and the bumper was white. I didn't know or take in consideration you should sand so that way the paint has something to grip onto. The paint gripped on pretty well. I think I went a little over excessive and not enough clear coat because it started to peel and you could see the white bumper behind, but after it was all dry you could tell there was drip lines in a bunch of places. It didn't look good. It definitely looked like a teenager not knowing what he was doing. Because it's true. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just learning, teaching myself as I go. But then one of my other buddies that lived in Magna, Utah at the time, I worked with him at a full-service car wash, and he was really good at spray painting and stuff. I think he had like a little side gig doing like plasti dip or something like that when you change the color of your emblems and stuff. And so he helped me repaint the front bumper of the Escort, and it actually looked really good.
The Escort. Isn't that the famous Rodney King car?
I don't know.
Yeah. I think he was in a Ford Escort.
Who's Rodney King?
Jeez. Remember that dude? Can't we all just get along?
There's a few people I know that say that, like celebrities and stuff. I know Larry the Cable Guy in one of his stand-up sessions said that. I think it was one of his specials that he was filming.
Is that fool really like that?
What?
Like in real life, is he really like that?
Oh, I have no idea. Like that goofy, or just like wanting this, like the whole world to come to their senses and all get along.
I mean, goofy.
I don't know. I'm goofy. I like to make people laugh. So.
All right. If you had this right now.
Oh, the trailer.
Somebody gave this to you right now.
Okay.
And they said, hey, man, you know what? You can have this, but you got to put it to use. You got to make it work. And it's got to be profitable, otherwise I'm taking it back.
Is it like a storage trailer, or is it like a food truck trailer? Or is it like a little utility toy hauler?
It's kind of a tough one, huh?
Yeah, especially that door width the way it is on the side. I'm not by any means in the food business, but that's kind of like what it looks like. What it's for.
Yeah. What about this?
Oh, I don't have a truck anymore to pull it, but it'd be a good tow vehicle. Like, if something ever happened to the cars, or if I wanted to take like the Ranchero or something on the highway down to Mesquite or something for a car show, I don't got to worry about driving it on the highway,
Well,
ramping up the RPMs because it doesn't have highway gears in it. Use that, tow it down there to the car show.
yep.
Huh.
Yep.
That was something I was going to do when we moved down here from Salt Lake. Was I was going to put the Mustang on a flatbed and tow it down here when we moved. But luckily, weather was good, so my dad just ended up driving the Mustang, and I drove the U-Haul, and
Nice.
the Escort was already down here. We had our family vehicle that my wife was driving, so
There it is.
and the Ranchero came into play about a year ago in September, so still a ways to go before the year mark.
Yeah, we gotta go for a cruise for sure.
Yeah. And I got to get a better horn for it in here and there because it's not very great. You kind of can hear it. And the way the horn sounds, it kind of sounds like what a moose would sound like if you punched it in the bladder.
Can't wait to hear that. Let's start her up, man.
It's like the worst.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's not bad.
I mean, it needs to be louder because when you drive, you can't really hear it very well.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking train horn.
Train horn.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do it to, blast it everywhere I go and cruise around at night and honk the horn constantly. It only get used when the horn is needed.
Like now.
Yeah. Pump some fuel in the carburetor, fill up the float bowls with gas. Here we go. I'm actually going to turn around because this road's 45. I don't feel like pulling out in front of people.
Yeah, right. What do you think about living like this?
In a trailer?
Yep. Is this something you can do?
Different. I don't know if it's something I could do with all my stuff I like to do in life. But for camping, yeah, but there's some people that like campers for camping, but there's the other, I think, hardcore people that have camping when, all you have is a sleeping bag, a tent, adventure. So there's different ways of people's definition of camping. I don't mind camping in a trailer, especially one that has a bathroom, and a kitchen and stuff to cook other stuff. You can't really necessarily cook on a campfire.
It's true, man. Straight up. Where'd you grow up?
Salt Lake area up until last year when we moved here. Growing up quite a few years, I should say, almost half my life I was in Kearns. Then we moved to West Jordan, and then 2014 my parents built a house in Harriman, and that's where we stayed up until we moved here. I mean, lived with my parents after I got divorced, and then my wife and I now had bought a townhouse in Harriman, and the HOA was too much for us, so we sold the house. And it was in the middle of like COVID, like when everything was like skyrocketing, and you know, I think we bought the house for like, I think we almost, I'm trying to remember how much the house was and how much we sold it for. Not important. Then we lived with my parents and waited for like interest rates and stuff to come down, because you know, you don't want, you know, a big house payment with a teeny house and insane interest rate. And we just ended up moving down here, which is fine, because for the longest time I've wanted to live down here. My wife and I have talked about it. Everything worked out where we moved down here. And I've come to St. George so many different times growing up through the years.
Why?
It was just a fun place to come spend a weekend.
You had family over here?
No, just a nice place to go for the weekend. And then once Tuacahn Amphitheater, once that started becoming a thing, and my parents like going to those types of shows, and so, you know, when they first did Thriller, we came and saw that. I think the first time they did that. It's not just like a whole musical and Broadway show, because I'm not that type of guy, but it's got a lot of comedy and stuff in it, which is more my thing. Like they have this there's like a depressed, sarcastic clown called Bubbles. Probably one of my favorite skits.
What's up with that dude?
It's just a clown that's, you know, just depressed, and I shouldn't say really depressed, just down. And
He's a sad clown.
Yeah, sad clown. There you go. He speaks with a high-pitched voice. It's just a funny comedy skit. But I don't want something like so big it takes me 3.5 hours just to mow the backyard.
It's gonna take about that long for a small backyard.
Yeah, well,
Water the grass, trim everything, clean everything up, mow the lawn.
Well, I'm talking just mowing 3.5 hours. Then you have trimming and sweeping after that, and clean up. Just 3.5 hours just to mow the lawn. I'll go one higher. Not bagging it even, because bagging takes longer, but it looks a whole lot nicer. But that's just my opinion. Actually, my very first job when I was in elementary, I started during the summer. I started a lawn mowing business, and my dad just helped me because, you know, he's familiar with it, the business side of it. We had our own mower, had our own trimmer, and I just did the neighborhoods and stuff. People we knew, and I can't remember exactly what my card looked like, but I handed out the cards and stuff, kind of word of mouth, old school stuff. Because this was, I think this was right around the time the internet was getting bigger, but I don't know if YouTube was the thing yet, and if it was just the very beginning of it. Yeah, I can't exactly remember what the card looked like, but I remember like my slogan was like, "Call today, I'm on my way," or something cheesy like that. No, I was still in elementary. It was,
Nah, man, that's a promise. You promised that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm such an old school guy. I love it.
What's your favorite beer?
I don't drink beer.
If that was a beer-only party, but they had 13 different selections.
Well, my 21st birthday, I kind of ruined a lot of alcohol for myself because I didn't know at the time when I was at the horse races. I didn't know that Wyoming was a different alcohol limit. And I had never heard the term beer before liquor, never sicker. I lived it. I lived and experienced it. I did not know any better. And so ever since then, I've never been a big, I guess it's a blessing, I guess, but I've never been a huge alcohol person. It's almost like I have to be in a really rare mood for it. But as far as if it's a beer only party, I'd probably say like the what they call bitch beers or fruity beers, like Mike's Hard Lemonade, the Smirnoff Watermelon, Red's Apple Ale. The peach one's okay, but
I'm gonna buy you the champagne of beers. It's a High Life.
the High Life, is that what it's called?
When you try it, you feel like a king.
I don't think I've had alcohol for 2 years, but then again, I guess it's a good thing I'm not too big on alcohol and I have to be in the right mood for it, because having a CDL, you know, it limits you a little bit more than that too. Like the normal alcohol limit is what, 0.04 or something like that? Well, I don't know if that's still for CDL or if that's for like just any other normal license.
You're hiking, and you come to this point of a trail that says keep out private property, etc., etc. What type of person are you?
Is it empty? Or is there like an old Victorian house or something?
It is something, it looks like something you should not go to.
I'll walk away. That's the thing that my wife and I like watching on YouTube. We like watching the like people going out and exploring and looking at, you know, abandoned houses and old sites and stuff that, you know, are hidden in the world, or little towns. What annoys us more than anything in the world, almost like a pet peeve, is 9 times out of 10 it is all ruined because people have trashed it, or mainly the big thing is graffitied it, or, you know, they destroyed the property and, you know, threw random stuff through the the windows and everything like that, and where it's just rotting
There's always
away
an
before.
old stove that's older than the house.
Yeah.
There's always that one old stove. It's white, very dirty,
Or yellow.
yellow. Those are nice.
I think I've seen a couple that are even that teal green color.
Get that. If you can find that, they go for about $1,400. I'm sure it's more expensive.
Yeah.
The better quality it is.
I mean, if it's not like trespassing or like owned by anybody because it's abandoned or anything like that, like the previous owners died and nobody owns it, you know, why do people have to graffiti it and mess it up? Why can't they just like leave it alone and You know, so that way when other people come to explore it and stuff like that, it's like, you know, you just walked into a time capsule instead of, you know, walking in and be like, all right, well, these floors we're going to fall through and the roof's about to cave in on us, so probably shouldn't go in here and explore. Yeah.
They're vandals.
Yeah. Trying to decide on, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not doing anything anytime soon with this, of course, but for this, I'm deciding engine-wise. The 3-speed on the tree is going to stay. Trying to decide whether to keep the 170 inline 6 that's in it right now from the factory and maybe just rebuild it, maybe bore it out a little bit so I can get bigger pistons in there, maybe a better, lighter crankshaft. I don't think they make any performance heads or camshafts for these. I know they do for the 200 and the 300s, especially the 200s, because, you know, the 200s were in so much of other things besides, you know, the first generation Mustang and stuff. They have performance heads and camshafts and stuff like that you can put in to make, you know, more power than the factory. Or there are bell housings that adapt to this transmission, so I can keep it a 3-speed on a tree, and those are like the 260, which obviously, that's the V8 that came with these cars back then, was the 260 cubic inch V8, or a 302 fits too, and has the same bell housing that, or a different bell housing, but still bolts up to the 302 and the transmission that's in it now. Or a 347 cubic inch Ford, which a 347 cubic inch, it's basically just a stroked out 302. So
That's good.
and I think I could buy a complete engine with even with a carburetor. It comes from Blueprint Engines. It comes all, you know, ready to go. And that exact engine is dyno tuned, so that way when you get your dyno sheet of that engine, you know it's been ran, it's been tested, everything works, it's reliable, and you know the exact dyno sheet of that engine. And I think the 347 makes about 415 horsepower.
Jeez.
Then again,
What are you, a rocket?
well, with this transmission, I mean, the rear end in this, I don't know what gears are in it, but the rear end is the Ford 7.5, which they also put in the V6 Mustangs, even like my Mustang, the New Edge from 99 to 04, and the SN95, which it's based off of, they did from 94 to 98 after they did the Fox bodies. Even the, I'm pretty sure the 4-cylinder Fox bodies, I think those even had the 7.5 inch rear end, and then the V8's got the 8.5. No, not 8.5, 8.8. And then in the earlier years, the Mustangs and the Falcons and Rancheros that were V8s, they were 5-lug, and then they had the Ford 8-inch. But yeah, I don't know. I've read some stuff around that, you know, you could fit it's the same size and everything as the 170, but you can get away with putting a 200 cubic inch, or I should say a performance head for a 200 cubic inch. I mean, the way to tell the difference between if you have a 170 cubic inch and a 170 cubic inch and a 200 cubic inch is on the passenger side of the engine block. The 170 cubic inch is what this car has, and there are 3 freeze plugs on the passenger side of the engine block. The 200 cubic inch has 5. I wouldn't mind putting a V8 in here. But at the same time, I don't want to put a V8 in here, not even going hard on it, just enjoying driving it like we're doing now, and, you know, just all the torque and horsepower of the V8 that I put in there. I don't want it just to, you know, kicked the transmission out from underneath the car because the transmission was too little and weak to handle the power.
That happens.
Yeah. That's my only concern with putting a V8 in there. I mean, I don't know if I could find a 260 cubic inch that originally came in these, you know. But I think if I just get, I don't think I'll need to go excessive and go a 347 stroked 302. I could probably just get away with just doing like a bare 302. I could probably get one from a junkyard out of a Fox body Mustang or the early Ford Explorers from like the early to mid 90s that makes like maybe 200 and a half, 250 horsepower or something like that, and stick that in here, and I think that'd be plenty fine. And then there's another thing I'd like to do is also depends on the if they offer this in line 6 too. I know they do with the V8s, but finding like an original AC system from the 60s, like they put in these Falcons and the Mustangs and stuff, and put that in here to get AC in here. But if not, I'm completely fine with the wing windows.
Right. It's not bad at all.
I took it on the freeway this morning for the very first time going to work. You could really tell the engine was really ramped up.
Make sure you bring extra oil.
Yeah. That's 50 right now. That was 55.
How long is this? It goes all the way to the freeway, right?
Yeah, this curves around the way we came back to the freeway walk and by the Maverick and stuff. Yeah, I still got to play with the wiring and put it back to factory and figure out, why the temp gauge doesn't work. I mean, for all I know, like I said in the last video, it could be like a $5 sensor for all I know. But I've got a really strong feeling it's got to do something with the funky wiring that somebody did.
That's my problem.
And I'm pretty sure the funky wiring was only due just to get these aftermarket ones to work. Which is nice to know your oil pressure. And I don't think the bolts is an accurate reading. And then, the water temperature.
It's too high, right?
Too low. Right now, I should be at between 13 and 14. I mean, it could be accurate, and the alternator, because these cars originally came with a generator. They make kits for them now. We can convert it from a generator to an alternator, and the alternator that's in there, it may not produce a lot of amperage, which is why it only reads 10, 11 volts. I haven't had any battery problems, so I know the battery's still good. I know the alternator's working because it's never, died on me or anything. I think the only thing I've ever done to this car is just put gas in it, drive it, and enjoy it. Which is pretty cool for like a 61-year-old vehicle.